Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be speaking about series and sums. Now I want you to find out intuitively where does this equation come from, because I feel like it's not explained well in high school. So the story goes that a famous mathematician, quite prominent for his time, called Gauss, was in a class with a lazy teacher, and the lazy teacher, to keep him occupied, told him to sum all the numbers from 1 to 100. And he thought everybody would do this manually, including Gauss. Well, Gauss devised a trick I'm going to be speaking about, and he said that the sum of all the numbers from 1 to 100 is 5050. How did he find this out? So he started pairing the numbers with other numbers and then sort of getting to halfway to number 5. And so he figured out that for 10 numbers, we have 10 numbers here, we have 5 pairs. So that's 10 divided by 2. 5 pairs. The sum of each of these is 11. 10 plus 1 is 11, 2 plus 9 is 11, 8 plus 3 is 11. So the sum is the counts of numbers, the number of numbers, plus 1, so 11. Sum of each pair is n plus 1. This is our n. So n means basically how many numbers we have. So we get 5 pairs, so n divided by 2, and the sum of each pair is n plus 1. So to find out the sum from 1 to 10, we plug in the equation. So 10 divided by 2 is 5 times 10 plus 1, which is 11. So I'll write it down for you guys. N divided by 2 times n plus 1. That is 5 times 10 plus 1 is 11. 55. Now, what about if we do this from 0? Because we did this for basically the natural numbers. But what if we do this for 0 as well? So if we pair the numbers from 0 to 9, and then 4 to 5, we see that the sum of each pair is 9. We also see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pairs. So how many numbers do we have? We don't have 9 numbers, if that was your answer. We have 10, because we have 0 now. And what we're going to do again is that if we have 10 numbers again and we divide them by 2, we get the number of pairs. So we have exactly 5 pairs. And the sum of each pair is basically going to be 1 less than the number of our items. Now we will get the same equation where n is the number of numbers that we have, and basically we will get a different sum this time, because the highest number we have is 9. So we're going to get 5 times 9 plus 1, which is 10, which is 50. If you don't believe me, try and sum all the numbers from 0 to 9. Now another way of explaining this and I think probably it might be more intuitive for you. It might be a better way of really explaining it. It's basically if we write it twice, if we write all the numbers in pairs twice, kind of. Just to do a mirror from one side to the other. And here we switch. So here's our mirror. So from down to top. So you can see that I switched kind of the rows from top to bottom. I also want to mention here why this equation looks the way it looks. Basically, the number of pairs is the number of our numbers plus 1. If we don't count 0, we have 9 numbers. And if we add 0, it's kind of like plus 1. So we get basically n plus 1 divided by 2, which is 10 divided by 2, which is 5. And then we just find out the sum of each of these pairs and multiply it. But this is another way I would like to show it to you guys. Size of each pair is 11, and we have 10 pairs. So you know that the size of each pair is n plus 1. So basically the highest number plus 1. And we also know how many pairs we got. We've got 10 pairs. However, we do not need this pair twice, do we? So we divide that by 2, and we get the same equation. The reason we divide it by 2, as I said, we can only use all of the numbers once, and therefore that's why we divide it by 2, because we've already used it here. We don't need it again. We've already used it. We don't have these numbers anymore. We've used them here, and we've used them here. It's the same 2 numbers here. I've just switched them to show you an example. Now, there's another way to picture this. It's a bit more graphic. I'm going to draw you a picture here. So basically, imagine we have a triangle. So our highest number is going to be 5, and we are going to go down to number 4 here, then to number 3, to number 2, and to number 1. Now, what we're also going to do is we're going to figure out by the area how to get this equation. It might not seem intuitive at first. You could just sum all of the dots, 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, but that's kind of cheating. That's kind of like doing it manually. Yes? So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to draw an identical triangle. So that's 5, then we get 4, then we get 3, then we get 2, and then we get 1. And now I'm going to merge these 2 triangles together in a different color. So here I have 5, so I have to add 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I have 3. 1, 2, 3. Here I have 2, 1, 2, and 1. Now, what you'll notice is we have 5 dots in this direction, and we have 6 dots in this direction. We definitely know how to calculate the area of a square. It's going to be a squared. What is it for a rectangle? It's going to be a times b. So height times width. how many, it's basic multiplication. If I have 5 rows of apples, 5 apples here, and 6 lines of apples here, I can safely say that I have 5 times 6 apples, which is 30. So the area of this rectangle is 30. How do I figure out the sum of our first triangle? Basically summing 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. 5 apples, 4 apples, 3, 2 and 1. How do I figure it out? Well, it's half of the surface. So 30 divided by 2 is 15. Let's figure out if that's true. So 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. Plus 1 is 15. Yes, we are right. And I'm going to change color here. How does this work? Again, here we have our number is 5, which is n, and 6 is n plus 1. So this is our n plus 1, and this is our n. So we have n plus 1 times n, and since we only want half of the area, we divide it by 2. And there we have our equation, and I think that is really beautiful. It's another way of describing the same idea. So some people understand this idea through this concept, some people understand it through this concept. For me, this one works better for understanding. Now I'll show you one last way to how to get to this equation, how we got to it. What is an average, I'll ask you? What is the average of all the numbers from 1 to 5? It's going to be 3. That's going to be our average. So it's basically our average is the sum of all numbers, so the sum is 15, divided by the number of numbers we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, divided by 5. So our average is equal to 3. What can we do with this? This is our sum, and this is our count of numbers, or how many numbers we have. This stands for how many numbers we have. How many numbers we have. We can just use some basic algebra, solve this linear equation basically in a different way. So how do we find out the sum? The sum is equal to the average times how many numbers we have. So average times A. A stands for how many numbers we have. Yes? So our average is 3 times, we have 5 numbers, 5, 15. Works for every number. It's very beautiful. And the last thing I'm going to show you is what a series is, how we denote it. It's from the Greek letter summa. We usually put a letter here, and the letter can go from 1, it can go from 0, it's up to you really, and it goes to n or some limit like 100. And all it means is that we're summing all the numbers from 1 plus 2 plus 3 to n, if n is at the top here, in the top index, or to 100 if it's at the top index. So you already know what the answer is going to be for 100. It's going to be 5050 from this equation we've just derived here. And that is all for today, guys. Please make sure to check out my other videos on calculus. You might find them interesting. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. Tell me what you liked about the video, what you didn't like. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.